So Emmy nominations, you both got quite a few. And we've been seeing for the past few years more and more online platforms garnering nominations and actual awards. Handmaid's Tale, Robert called it rough, definitely rough, but also just an incredible show. Can you talk a little bit about what it means today to create good content that sells, that garners a big following? And are there any differences in creating it on the different platform?
Sure. Well, I think that we're certainly at a time where there's a lot of content being produced. I think 500-600 scripted shows out there this year. And so I think for us at this moment, you have to break through. You have to believe that whatever you're putting on has the characters, the story, perhaps a different world that can break through the clutter of all of those hundreds and hundreds of shows. And then you have to support it, with a lot of marketing. So I think that's for us what we're really focused on, and certainly with Emmy Awards, what that does for us at our stage in the game is gets us a lot more attention, both in the creative community and with customers. And so we couldn't be happier with where we are this year. And
13 of your nominations were for Handmaid's Tale. Did you, in creating this, and this is really a breakout hit for you guys, period, but did you anticipate it would have, it touched this nerve in society right now. How many of you watched it, by the way? Raise your hand. Oh my God. Your homework, please go watch Handmaid's Tale.
We'll wait.
I'm not trying to.
Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. Go just watch it right now. It's only 8 hours long to watch the entire
10 hours.
thing. 10 hours.
I should have brought a stack of free trial cards with me here today.
So my question is, was this kind of luck, or did you know that this would tap into this zeitgeist? Did you have some insight?
Well, this is a show that we greenlit almost 2 years ago. And when we first started to see the scripts, and we started casting it, and we had Elizabeth Moss, who Charlie knows very well, and we started to see it actually on tape, and we actually saw the cuts, we thought we had something special. And then when that first 3 episodes rolled in, we immediately said, we've got to get behind this one. And so we bought 2 Super Bowl spots for it 2.5 months before it premiered, and that really got us going. And I think for us, it's also just cut through culturally. You have women dressing in Handmaid's Tale outfits, protesting all over the country. It's just sort of cracked through in a way that I don't think anybody could ever have predicted. But we knew we had something special.
That's why I wore red.
Thank you.
So, okay, how many of you have watched Breaking Bad or Better Call Saul? Come on. All right. They've redeemed themselves.
Thank you very much.
So talk to us from the perspective of a network that's been around for a while. Has the process changed at all in the creative creation of the content?
Sure.
Not the business model yet.
First of all, how many of you were at the NSA panel? That was such a great lead-in for us, I think, to move from issues of national security to
more pressing
yeah, right, exactly, to bigger issues for our time. What's interesting, actually, the way you talked about the cultural relevance of Handmaids, and congratulations, by the way, it's great. You look at what it means, and we've been through some phases. We very much wanted to get into scripted original programming with Mad Men and Breaking Bad, as you said, at a time where we needed to really pick shows that fought, above their weight. They really needed to break through in a meaningful way because, frankly, no one was looking for AMC to reinvent itself from a movie network to what we call premium television on basic cable. And we look at the strategic import of that. We really thought we did it at a time where it mattered very much for our business to be critically acclaimed, as well as, obviously, attracting audiences. And you fast forward to today, we went through that and we layered on the desire to have scale and ownership. So that was the next strategic shift. So you look and you said, all right, well, how do we own more of our content? We opened up AMC Studios, and then we invested in Walking Dead. And that's been very good and made us a global distributor of our content in meaningful ways. And really, out of that, there was a moment at the end of, I think it was the end of 15, where we filled Madison Square Garden with Walking Dead fans to join us for that premiere episode. And so here, the Mecca, this building I grew up watching the Knicks and Rangers in, we filled it with fans. And I walked around as a fan, just listening to people and watching them, geek out And I was there with them, and what you realize is the next transition for us, it sort of started that day because we went from saying, all right, we were a one-to-many media, and now we need to be a one-to-one media, and we got to understand the fan better. And we made the next transition where awards are still important and scale is still important, and then the next evolution was, all right, we got to know this fan better, and we got to take care of them in a meaningful way, and we've got to build, CRM and data platforms and other things that if we had this plan 10, 15 years ago.
You didn't have that before you had online distribution, I guess,
We
right?
were largely a B2B player, right? We sold to cable operators, we sold to advertising agencies, and we very much are invested in and enjoying that transition.
So what's king today? I mean, it's long been said that content is king and that doesn't change. But today, is it your social media following and your ability to connect one-on-one, or at least give the perception that you're connecting one-on-one with the fans? Is it your platform and the ownership of the platform? What is it?
I think for us, what we've really enjoyed, and The Handmaid's Tale is a perfect example of that, is having the data about your customer, that one-to-one personal relationship that we have with our users gives us an ability to communicate with them in different ways. Not every subscriber of Hulu is a Handmaid's Tale watcher. They may watch Fear the Walking Dead, which we have the first season of, and they may watch a variety of other things.
Only the first season? Come on.
Well, it's coming.
Yeah, when
it's
do we
coming.
get that second season?
Exactly.
And so we have 3,500 series of TV, and so we have these different groups of people watching different things, and that knowledge and information allows us to really go out and communicate with them in unique ways, both on the platform and off. And so for us, I think that's really critical, and I think it's an advantage that we bring to the market.
For us, it's not who's king, it's Elizabeth Moss. She is queen. If you're going to launch a new programming venture, Mad Men, Elizabeth Moss.
Catherine.
Handmaid's Tale.
Exactly.
When we started at Sundance, Elizabeth Moss and
Well, we basically
top
just
of the
been
lake.
taking, we have Aaron Paul in
There
one
you
of our
go.
shows, so we're just.
But
You also,
actually,
your chief content officer,
Joel. Yeah.
Joel
yeah,
Silver,
you
yeah,
poached from him, right?
Well,
I don't know that I'd use that word, but
But
yes.
you know what? At the core of this is talent, right? I mean,
Yeah.
we can joke, but truly, it is still a talent-driven business. We still both and all of us nurture talent in meaningful ways, and I want that next person who's got their creative vision to bring us their next big idea.
Yeah.
Okay,
That's what it's all about.
so talk some more about the way that you're using data, both of you. But like, what, for example, have you found out about fans of Handmaid's Tale that have helped you in any way to connect with them, to give them to distribute what they want?
Sure. Well, you can look at exactly what they're watching. So we know that the Handmaid's Tale viewer correlates really well to another original that we have called Harlots. And so we can really look at those customers, really look at their unique attributes of them, and we can do look-alike marketing to bring new people in. And then that's a database that we're collecting over time. And as each and every year that goes by, you just get better and better at that. And so that's a pretty unique insight. And actually, when I think about what Charlie has to do when he looks at Nielsen ratings, it doesn't really tell you what the viewers of Walking Dead are also watching on your platform or on the other platforms. And I think that kind of data really helps you in a variety of ways, not just for marketing back to new customers, but for what kinds of programming you should be making in the future.
Sure. We very much jumped into it, built platforms that are based on not just Nielsen data, writ large, but respondent level data. We work with a lot of third parties to build on our data sets and get pretty meaningful patterns. And what's interesting is, you talked about you launched Handmaid's Tale and you did it with Super Bowl spots.
Yeah.
So there was an example this year where we used our analytics to look at our advertising on The Walking Dead and whether or not a Super Bowl spot would matter. It's the #1 show on television.
Right.
So does it need reach? Does it need frequency? When, where is that event proximate to ours? And we very much used analytics in a way that, again, I don't know if you were generally surprised, but 15 years ago, that wouldn't have been an analytics-based decision.
So, but still, when you're up against Netflix and Amazon,
Sure.
and not only their ability to, they're spending $10 billion collectively just this year alone on scripted programming, and their access to data is incredible and has been for a while. So how do you compete with that?
Well, first of all, I always say that more isn't always better. More is more. But if you are fortunate enough to have Handmaid's Tale be developed by your group and deliver it at the right time, to have it strike a pop cultural chord, it's there. If we are fortunate enough to have Vince Gilligan with us in a 10-year relationship from Breaking Bad to Better Call Saul and bring his artistry and then Peter Gould and their creativity to that project, that is the great equalizer, right? You know, so we very much take the development process seriously. We, I think, well, by definition, we do fewer, and I think we do fewer better. And the fan of that great content, I was saying before, I'm headed from here to Comic-Con. And if you want to see the impact you can have with one show, or now for us, a stable of shows to change people's lives, I don't think anyone enters that content that they sleep out overnight to get into Hall H. They don't say, gosh, I wish they had more. Yeah. They say, I love that, and that's a part of my life. And then we take it a step further, and it's really on an ad sales metrics basis. There's something called Live Plus 3, the measurement of how advertisers pay you. We've been looking at it as a Live 365 measurement. And some of the Emmy noms he didn't mention were for programs that were extensions of our program. So we did some short form that is Emmy nominated that is complementary to Fear the Walking Dead that airs when it's not in season. And we have virtual reality and augmented reality and different gaming to the point where we look at our business and the television network, the thriving linear television network is a part of it. But if you pull back from sort of the view of that planet, you realize it's a huge almost solar system, but at the center of it, it's not a solar system, it's a system, the center is the fan. And we take that very seriously, and I think that's why we've been able to do fewer better, and why I think we're well positioned to succeed.
You guys are also starting to experiment with different models along with your cable operator partners. Yes. Can you describe what you recently launched?
Sure. Well, it was a fan insight. You know, it doesn't sound like much, but just as crazy as it probably seemed to think we could be in the scripted programming game at a time where we were largely airing repeats of Cool Hand Luke, and now we're up there with HBO and Showtime and FX, certainly as those who have made it to the other side. We go to fans, and it might seem intuitive to you now, but they told us they wanted more choice. They didn't say, I like it there, I don't like it there. They said, could you give me some options for how we view? And we thought, what is our best way to come to market at scale? And what is the best way to respond to the fans who are watching? Again, Walking Dead can be a 20 million person shared communal event on the same night. But what if you want that commercial free? So we are the first linear cable network to launch within the ecosystem an ad-free option. And it's not for everybody, it's an upgrade. But the response has been terrific, and all of a sudden you start to think, all right, well, we've offered that choice, what can we build upon it? And that's liberating. Again, something I didn't think probably 10, 15 years ago an ad-supported linear television network would be doing, but I think others will follow. Those who have the content and can create the demand, I think will follow.
Now, you guys, your recent launch was, you're kind of going, in opposite directions, but meeting in the middle, sort of, or in some nebulous.
Well, we're partners in many ways.
Yeah, you are. You partner, you compete. It seems like everybody in entertainment is doing that now, and in technology. Talk a little bit about the live offering and how that's been going.
Sure, yeah. Well, we launched it in early May, and it's been going really well. We've been rolling it out across devices all summer long, and we'll be largely done by the fall. I think we've launched 145 broadcast affiliates over the last 6 weeks. We've seen a lot of demand. It's interesting to see the viewership patterns that are emerging because we've got most of our customers have the subscription on demand offering and the live offering all in one application. And it's going really super well. We couldn't be happier. The new interface that we launched is getting great reviews. We're learning a ton every day about how people are interacting with us. And so we're continuing to iterate and bring forth new features almost on a daily basis.
Any subscriber numbers you can mention?
Oh, can't really talk about subscriber numbers, but we are rolling it out over the summer. We've been really happy. We're ahead of where we thought we'd be, but we're really going to put a big push in the fall for marketing around fall TV and NFL and live sports.
Okay. And how do you're now going up against even more competitors, or maybe it was sort of the same group of competitors, but you had all these live offerings launching sort of around over the last year or so. So it's anywhere from YouTube and Sling and so on. How do you differentiate with a product that's, it's very easy to see it just being totally commoditized, right? You're getting a certain bundle of channels and it's online and it's a monthly subscription.
Yeah, well, I think the way we've approached it is really three things. One is choice. Charlie was talking about choice. And so what we did last week was launch HBO and Cinemax. We already have Showtime. And so what we're trying to do is give customers choice. If you would like content ad-free, we have that choice. If you'd like a DVR, we have that as well. The second thing is about content. So by putting our subscription on demand offering right inside the MVPD that we have, it's a one-of-a-kind offering. The other over-the-top MVPDs just really can't compete with that. We've got 3,500 scripted shows.
And MVPDs are?
Cable satellite operators, or the YouTube bundle, Sling, DirecTV Now. And so I think it's that content choice and then the experience itself. We launched an entirely new interface that's really trying to go at TV in a totally different way. And so far we've gotten great reviews from customers on that. It's really intuitive in terms of recommendations and just a cinematic experience. And so I think those are the three ways we'll differentiate. And we'll see. I think it's going well so far, but it's an exciting time. If you think about it from a consumer standpoint, you mentioned, all this has happened just really in the last year or so. Most consumers in the country went from having 2 or 3 options for their television, and all of a sudden now they've got 8 or 9. And just think about what that means for your own consumer, your own behavior, and having all of those options. I think you're going to see a lot of behavior happening over the next year where people are trying things out. You can get a week free from us and our free trials, and I think you're going to see a lot of people trying these things, seeing what they like best, and then settling into the experience that they like the most.
Thank you, by the way, for not saying OTT MVPD, because that would have been way too much.
I know.
Yeah.
We've got to come up with a better name for that category.
But so you're talking about choice and giving consumers choice, and I think a lot of us are, happy with having options that aren't making us lock into a very pricey cable bundle. I mean, you're seeing more choices from the actual cable providers as well right now. But one of the problems, the challenges that I have still is, I'm a big fan of shows on both of your platforms, and yet, despite all of the technology and all that's available, there are so many times where I want to watch something and I don't know where I can get it. Okay. And I just want to, I'll pay for it. I just don't know where I can watch it.
Right.
And can I get season 1 or can I get season 2,
Sure.
So how do you crack that nut?
Well, I think it's definitely a consumer challenge right now. But I think if you just look at where we are today versus where we were 3 years ago, it's getting easier. And I think that that's search and discovery is certainly an important thing because, like I just said, we have 3,500 series of TV. How do we figure out what are the 8 or 10 that you might be interested right now in watching? And you know what? We may not have 1 or 2 of them as well. And so we're looking at ways to try to expand the search functionality so that we can serve as a place where you can come and see, all right, if we don't have this particular, Game of Thrones was something that people searched, #1 search term on Hulu for the last 3 years, and we solved that one last week. And so trying to find ways to put everything in one place, whether it's the device that you have or the application, I think is where the answer lies. And there's a lot of us trying to solve that right now.
Well, and as the programmer, so we look at it and we said very deliberately, we're going to move from being a linear networks company to being a global entertainment company. And so then we use some of our analytics to make sure we're doing a better job telling people where to find our programming around the globe. So it is a little symbiotic there. We know what is where, and obviously we make deals that are often corporately driven, sometimes fan driven, and when you do, then you need to help people navigate, and it is getting better, but it's still a major challenge. We've used a lot of our analytics on our own air to look at how we promote so that we can promote more meaningfully to those people. What used to be an on-air spot to say, come in Sunday at 10, now needs to tell you where to live, how to catch up, and so we've reduced our inventory load. That was one way, and went again far more, 1-to-1 versus 1-to-many.
Okay. Any questions for Mike and Charlie? Raise your hand if you have a question.
National security or TV, we'll take them both. Right?
We'll go back there first.
Thank you. Tom Gruller, formerly a CMO at Microsoft, now started my own business. Wondering how you see Apple as a competitor with the iTunes Store and Apple TV. And relative to Netflix recent earnings, how you see them relative to the general competitive set of 8 or 10?
So perfect example of us all looking for creative talent and it all being interwoven. So Zach and Jamie, who they just hired to run the Apple business, were the Sony executives that we worked with on Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul and Preacher, and Mike certainly knows them.
A few shows for us as well.
Yeah, so the answer is we view every competitor similarly, and I think one part of the 3,500 shows you talk about, we're not just competing with new shows the way we used to, we're competing with every show ever made. So you ask, I went and spoke to our interns the other day, and these are always great conversations because you say, what are you watching right now? What are your favorite shows? And inevitably, a good portion of the room will mention Friends or some show that you think, oh yeah, I'm competing with Friends and The Wire and Handmaid's Tale and whatever Apple comes out. So we obviously, you got to have just nothing but respect for Apple, and also they're a partner and a competitor. So we will keep our head down and do what we do.
Question over here.
Hi, I'm Steven from the Media Lab at UNC. I'd like to hear a little bit about what you're doing in virtual reality, both on the content side as well as distribution models and infrastructure, and when you think that might be something you're really creating lots of content for.
Sure. Yeah, we're we've got, I wouldn't say toes in the water. We've probably got a half a leg in the water right now on virtual reality. We've got a partnership with Live Nation where we're producing concerts in virtual reality. Those are going really well and gaining a lot of popularity. We actually have a virtual reality app where you can experience somebody else's living room and watch 2D content that people spend a lot of time with. And so we're really testing and trying to figure out, well, what is the right application? Should we be thinking about actual series or segments of shows that we can create as either a marketing vehicle or added content? But I think that's an area that's ripe for exploration, and we're just testing and trying to learn what happens. For me personally, I get a little nauseous with certain types of content. And I think that's something that when you're creating content, you have to be really mindful of. I can recall 3D TV back, 6 or 7 years ago when it first came out. And I had this argument with my wife about whether we'd get a 3D TV, and I usually lose that, but I decided I'm going to go and buy one. I'm in the TV business, right? So I go downstairs, I put on my 3D glasses, have my beer, I'm going to watch the Masters. Immediately got nauseous and had to go, hat in hand to my wife and tell her I was wrong. She was right. So,
By the way,
so technology's tricky, and you got to be careful with that.
Please don't create a virtual reality experience of Handmaid's Tale, because just watching the show itself gave me nightmares, so I can only imagine what it would be like being an immersive.
Well, we've done some short-form virtual reality around the world of The Walking Dead. So, these effects people are so wonderful and they're forward-thinking. So, there's one I remember where in virtual reality, you look down and you're being eaten by zombies, or you're walking through the woods and feel like you're being watched, and the horde comes, and it's meaningful. It's a different type of experience, and we will go there. Augmented reality, you're going to see a ton of even more quickly. And again, in this sort of live 365 world, you'll see us announce some gaming opportunities and other ways to bring not just zombies, but those and other characters into your world in a really fascinating way. And I think it's all part of the storytelling, and the fans are requesting it, so we'll go there.
Yeah, and I think 360 video, just sort of more democratizing the access to it. We do a lot of our stuff just on mobile phone, right? Where you can use 360 video for a lot of applications, and I think that's exciting and it's fun, and it's been a neat.
But not to be diminished is how much you have to do as a director if you're going to shoot in virtual reality. I mean, the picture. I'll go to something that's obvious. Spoiler alert: wrestling might not be real. And think about this: if you're so used to shooting those angles where the punches almost land and make it look like it, and you need to be able
we're
to
hearing
scan.
from WWE soon.
I saw that on the agenda.
We do need to wrap up, but I want to thank you guys so much for coming. Hopefully you make it home in time. Or you're going to Comic-Con.
Comic-Con.
What are you wearing?
I'm going to dress as the hidden executive. Just to go talk to a lot of fans. Right, exactly.
All right, thank you guys so much.